The hospital called at 2:47 in the morning. My ex-wife had been in a catastrophic car accident. Her lover was dead. She was paralyzed from the waist down, and apparently, I was still listed as her emergency contact. The nurse's voice was professional but urgent. "Mr. Harrison, your wife needs you. She's asking for you specifically. We need to discuss her long-term care options." I stared at my phone in the darkness of my bedroom, listening to this stranger tell me about a woman who'd walked out of my life 3 years ago without looking back. The woman who'd stood in our kitchen and told me she'd never loved me. The woman who'd packed her designer luggage and left with Bradley Matthews, her college boyfriend who'd suddenly reappeared in our lives like a ghost from a past. I didn't know, still haunted her. My name is Nathan Harrison. I'm 41 years old, and I spent 7 years married to Amanda Sheffield Harrison, the kind of woman who could light up a room just by walking into it. We met at a charity gala in downtown Seattle where I was representing my architecture firm, and she was working as an event coordinator. She wore an emerald green dress that matched her eyes, and when she laughed at my nervous joke about the overpriced champagne, I knew I was done for. Our wedding was perfect. Small ceremony in the San Juan Islands, just family and close friends. Amanda cried during her vows, and I remember thinking I was the luckiest man alive. For 4 years, everything seemed right. We bought a craftsman house in Queen Anne, adopted a golden retriever named Murphy, and talked about having kids once my firm's expansion stabilized. But somewhere around year 5, things shifted. Amanda became distant, distracted. She started working longer hours, taking business trips that seemed to multiply like weeds. When I'd ask about her day, she'd give me generic answers that felt rehearsed. The warmth between us cooled to something polite and hollow. Then Bradley Matthews came back, into her life. If you're finding this story compelling, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button and leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or your own experiences. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who might need to hear them. Now, let's continue. Amanda told me about Bradley during dinner one Tuesday evening. She was pushing pasta around her plate, not eating, just moving food from one side to the other like she was playing some kind of culinary chess game. "Nathan," she said, not looking at me, "I ran into someone from college last week. Bradley Matthews. You remember me mentioning him?" I didn't. In 7 years of marriage, Amanda had never once mentioned anyone named Bradley Matthews. That should have been my first warning sign. "We dated senior year," she continued. "It ended badly when he took a job in New York right after graduation. I haven't seen him in almost 15 years. The way she said his name, soft and careful, like she was handling something fragile, made my stomach tighten. "That's quite a coincidence," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "How's he doing?" "Good. Really good, actually. He's back in Seattle, working in venture capital." Amanda finally looked at me, and there was something in her eyes I couldn't quite identify. Guilt, maybe, or anticipation. "We're having coffee next week. Just catching up, you know. Old friends reconnecting." I nodded and said something supportive because that's what secure husbands do. They don't get jealous when their wives reconnect with old boyfriends. They trust their partners and respect their autonomy. Looking back, I was an idiot. The coffee meeting happened. Then another one. Then Amanda started mentioning Bradley in casual conversation. "Bradley thinks we should invest in tech startups. Bradley says the Seattle market is about to explode. Bradley recommended this amazing restaurant in Belltown." Bradley. My business partner, Derek Chen, noticed the change before I did. We were reviewing blueprints for a waterfront development project when he stopped mid-sentence and looked at me with concern. "Nate," he said, "when's the last time Amanda asked about your day?" I'd opened my mouth to answer and realized I couldn't remember. Weeks? Months? Derek had been divorced twice, so he knew the warning signs better than most. "Brother, I'm not trying to start trouble, but you need to pay attention. Whatever's happening with Amanda, it's not going in a good direction." I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Amanda's phone was always face down now. She took calls in other rooms, speaking in hushed tones that went silent when I walked in. She bought new clothes, expensive pieces that she'd wear out, but never around the house. Her perfume changed from the light floral scent she'd worn for years to something darker, more sophisticated. The biggest tell was how she stopped sharing details about her day. Amanda had always been a storyteller, coming home with elaborate accounts of difficult clients or funny mishaps at work. Now she'd walk in, kiss my cheek with mechanical precision, and disappear into her home office for hours. I could have confronted her, could have demanded answers or suggested marriage counseling. But part of me already knew the truth and was too afraid to make it real by speaking it out loud. 3 months after that first coffee meeting, Amanda announced she was taking a weekend trip to Portland with some girlfriends from her book club. Wine tasting in the Willamette Valley, she said. Just us girls needing a break. She left on Friday morning with an overnight bag and that new perfume. I watched her drive away in her BMW, Murphy sitting beside me on the porch, both of us somehow understanding that something fundamental was ending. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from Melissa Grant, one of the women supposedly on this girl's trip. The message was short and devastating. Nate, I don't know what Amanda told you, but there's no book club trip this weekend. I'm home with the flu. You should probably know that. I sat on my couch with Murphy's head in my lap, staring at that message until the screen went dark. Then I did what I'd been avoiding for months. I checked our phone records, our credit card statements, our joint bank account activity. The evidence was everywhere once I started looking. Hotel charges in downtown Seattle, expensive dinners at restaurants we'd never been to together, purchases at men's stores that I'd never seen appear in our house. Amanda had been sloppy, or maybe she'd stopped caring about hiding it. I found Bradley Matthews on social media easily enough. Tall, athletic, with the kind of effortless confidence that came from old money and prep school education. His profile showed him at charity events, sailing on Lake Washington, posing with his golden retriever that looked disturbingly similar to Murphy. There were photos of them together. Amanda and Bradley at a fundraiser, standing just a little too close. Amanda and Bradley at a vineyard, her hand on his arm. Amanda and Bradley at a waterfront restaurant, caught mid-laugh at some private joke. The most recent photo was from 2 days ago. Amanda wearing the new dress I'd seen hanging in her closet, the one she'd said was for an upcoming work event. They were at a rooftop bar overlooking the city, and the way she was looking at him, with complete adoration and desire, was exactly how she used to look at me. I forwarded all the evidence to my personal email, made copies of the financial records, and scheduled an appointment with a divorce attorney for Monday morning. Then I went to bed and slept better than I had in months, because at least now I knew the truth. Amanda came home Sunday evening, her face flushed and happy in a way I hadn't seen in years. The wine tasting was amazing, she said, unpacking her bag. We found this incredible Pinot Noir that you'd love. She pulled out a bottle, probably purchased on the drive home to support her lie. How was Melissa? I asked casually. Did her flu get any better? Amanda froze for just a second, but recovered quickly. What flu? Oh, right. Yeah, she felt better by Saturday. Probably just a 24-hour thing. I nodded and took the wine bottle from her hands. That's good. Nothing worse than being sick on a trip you've been looking forward to. The lie hung between us like smoke, visible but untouchable. Monday morning, I met with Patricia Vance, a divorce attorney Derek had recommended. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and efficient, with a reputation for getting her clients exactly what they deserved. Mr. Harrison, she said after reviewing my evidence. This is about as straightforward as adultery cases get. Your wife was careless, which makes my job easier. Washington is a no-fault divorce state, but adultery can still impact asset division and spousal support considerations. Given that you've been the primary earner throughout the marriage and can prove her affair, we're in a strong position. I signed the retainer agreement and authorized her to proceed. Mrs. Vance drafted the divorce papers with clinical precision, each page laying out the dissolution of my 7-year marriage in legal terminology that somehow made it all feel both more real and more surreal. The papers were ready by Wednesday. Mrs. Vance suggested I have Amanda served at work to avoid a scene at home, but I wanted to do it myself. After 7 years together, she deserved to hear it from me directly. I waited until Thursday evening, after she'd come home from another late meeting that probably wasn't a meeting at all. Amanda walked in looking tired but content, that same flush in her cheeks that came from spending time with Bradley. She found me in the living room, divorce papers spread across the coffee table like a legal landmine. Nathan, what is this? Her voice was uncertain, like she couldn't quite process what she was seeing. Divorce papers, I said calmly. I'd like you to review them and sign by the end of the week. Amanda's face went white. What are you talking about? Where is this coming from? I picked up my phone and showed her the photos I'd found. Her and Bradley at various locations around Seattle, looking very much like a couple. I have 3 months of evidence, Amanda. Hotel receipts, credit card statements, phone records. You've been having an affair with Bradley Matthews, and I'm done pretending I don't know about it. She sat down heavily on the arm of the couch, her designer purse sliding to the floor. Nathan, I can explain. No need, I interrupted. You fell back in love with your college boyfriend. It happens. But you should have been honest with me instead of sneaking around for months. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. It's not what you think. Bradley and I, we have history. We never got proper closure. I just needed to figure out if what we had was real. By sleeping with him while you're still married to me? My voice stayed level, emotionless. That's an interesting approach to finding closure. I love him, she said quietly. I'm sorry, Nathan. I never meant to hurt you, but Bradley is my soulmate. We should have ended up together 15 years ago. This is just the universe correcting a mistake. The universe, I repeated. That's your explanation. The universe wanted you to commit adultery. Don't be cruel. You don't understand what it's like to wonder about the one that got away. You're right, I don't. Because when I married you, you became my one. I didn't spend our marriage wondering about ex-girlfriends or looking for escape routes. I was all in, Amanda. Apparently, you never were. She wiped her eyes, smearing mascara across her cheeks. So that's it? 7 years and you're just giving up? I'm not giving up, I said. I'm accepting reality. You want to be with Bradley, so go be with Bradley. But you're not. Keeping me as your backup plan while you explore your great cosmic love story. Amanda stood up and walked to the window, staring out at the Seattle skyline. What about the house? Murphy? All of our things? It's all in the papers. I kept the house since my income paid for it. You can take Murphy since you bought him. The assets are divided fairly, though given the circumstances, I could have pushed for more. She turned back to face me, and for the first time I saw something that might have been regret. I never wanted this to end like this, Nathan. You're a good man. You deserve better than what I gave you. Yes, I said. I did. Amanda moved out that weekend. She packed her clothes, her books, her collection of vintage cameras she'd never used. She took Murphy, who looked back at me from her car with confused brown eyes, not understanding why his family was being split up. Bradley helped her move, his BMW loaded with boxes, while I watched from the window like a ghost haunting his own life. I didn't go outside, didn't confront him. What would have been the point? The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Amanda got remarried to Bradley within 6 weeks of our decree being final. I saw the announcement on social media, a beautiful ceremony at a vineyard in Woodinville. Amanda wore an off-white dress and looked radiantly happy. Bradley looked smug, like he'd won some competition I didn't know we were having. I threw myself into work, took on projects that required 80-hour weeks, designed buildings that would outlast any relationship. Derek worried about me, kept inviting me to dinners and basketball games, trying to pull me back into the world of the living. You can't work yourself to death, man, he said one evening as we reviewed blueprints. Amanda made her choice. Now you get to make yours, choose to live again. He was right, of course. Slowly, carefully, I started rebuilding. Joined a gym, started hiking the Cascades every weekend, reconnected with friends I'd neglected during my marriage. I even went on a few dates, though nothing serious. The idea of trusting someone again felt impossible. 3 years passed. I'd bought a new house, adopted a rescue dog named Scout, and made partner at my firm. The wound from Amanda's betrayal had scarred over into something I could live with. Some days I barely thought about her at all. Then came that phone call at 2:47 in the morning. The nurse explained that Amanda and Bradley had been driving home from a charity event when their car was hit by a drunk driver running a red light. Bradley died on impact. Amanda survived but suffered a severe spinal injury that left her paralyzed from the waist down. She's stable now, the nurse said, but she's facing a long recovery and will need extensive care. She was asking for you specifically, Mr. Harrison. She says you're the only family she has. I sat in the darkness of my bedroom, processing this information. Part of me felt genuine sympathy. Nobody deserved what Amanda was going through, regardless of what she'd done to me. But another part, the part that still carried the sting of her betrayal, felt nothing but cold detachment. "What about her parents?" I asked. "Her sister in California?" "She doesn't want them," the nurse replied. "Only you. She's quite insistent about it." "I'll be there in an hour," I heard myself saying. The drive to Harborview Medical Center felt surreal, like I was moving through someone else's nightmare. I parked in the visitor lot and sat in my car for 10 minutes trying to figure out what I was doing here. Amanda wasn't my wife anymore. She'd made her choice 3 years ago. I owed her nothing. But curiosity pulled me forward. I needed to understand why she'd called me, why I was still her emergency contact, what she possibly thought could happen between us now. The ICU was quiet at this hour, just the beeping of machines and the soft footsteps of nurses making their rounds. A doctor intercepted. "Me at the nurses' station. Mr. Harrison, I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell." She explained Amanda's condition with clinical precision. Broken vertebrae, nerve damage, extensive internal injuries. The prognosis for walking again was poor, maybe 5% chance with aggressive therapy and multiple surgeries. "She's awake," Dr. Mitchell said, "but she's heavily medicated. Try not to upset her." I nodded and followed a nurse to Amanda's room. She looked small in the hospital bed, connected to various machines by a tangle of tubes and wires. Her face was bruised, one eye swollen shut. When she saw me, she started crying. "Nathan," she whispered, "you came. I knew you'd come." I stood in the doorway, not entering the room. The nurse gave me a pointed look and left, closing the door behind her. "Amanda, what am I doing here?" "Why did you call me?" "Because you're my husband," she said, as if it were obvious. "Ex-husband. We've been divorced for 3 years. She turned her head away from me. "I made a mistake, Nathan. Bradley wasn't who I thought he was. Our marriage, it wasn't like what we had. He was controlling, jealous. I realized too late that I'd given up something real for a fantasy. I'm sorry for your loss," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "And I'm sorry for what you're going through. But I'm still not understanding why you called me." Amanda looked back at me, her one good eye pleading. "I need you, Nathan. I need someone to take care of me while I recover. The doctors say I'll need months of therapy, home health care, modifications to wherever I'm living. I can't do this alone." The audacity of her request hit me like a physical blow. She wanted me to be her caretaker, to upend my life to nurse the woman who'd destroyed our marriage. "What about your parents? Your sister? Bradley's family?" "My parents are too old to handle this level of care," she said quickly. "Jennifer lives in San Diego with her own family, and Bradley's parents, they blame me for the accident. They think I distracted him while he was driving." "I see. So I'm your last option." "You're my first option," she corrected. "You always were." I just couldn't see it until everything fell apart. I walked to the window, looking out at the pre-dawn Seattle skyline. "Amanda," I said slowly, 3 years ago, you stood in our kitchen and told me Bradley was your soulmate. You said the universe wanted you together. You divorced me without a backward glance and married him 6 weeks later." "I was wrong," she interrupted. "I was confused and stupid, and I threw away the best thing I ever had. But people deserve second chances, Nathan, don't they?" I turned to face her. "Some people do. But you used up your chance with me when you chose him. I'm sorry for what happened to you. Genuinely sorry. But I'm not going to put my life on hold to care for you." Amanda's face crumpled. "Please, Nathan. I'm begging you. I have nobody else. Don't you remember our vows? In sickness and in health? We're divorced, Amanda. Those vows became null the day you signed the papers. So you're just going to leave me here? Let me figure this out alone? After 7 years together, that's all I mean to you?" I walked to the door, then paused. "You made your choice 3 years ago, Amanda. Now you get to live with it. I hope you recover well. I really do. But I won't be part of that recovery." "Nathan, please," she called after me as I opened the door. "Don't do this. Don't be this person." "I'm not doing anything," I said. "I'm just not undoing what you did." There's a difference. I walked out of her room, down the corridor, through the automatic doors, and back to my car. My hands were shaking as I started the engine. The audacity was staggering. After everything Amanda had put me through, after the lies and the affair and the casual cruelty of how she'd ended our marriage, she expected me to drop everything and become her caretaker. Like I was some kind of backup plan she could activate whenever her first choice didn't work out. Over the next few days, Amanda tried everything. She had the hospital social worker call me, painting a picture of a woman with no support system who would end up in a substandard care facility without my help. She had her mother call, guilt-tripping me about Christian charity and forgiveness. She even had her lawyer send a letter suggesting I had some kind of moral obligation to help her. I blocked Amanda's number, told the hospital I was not to be contacted again, informed her lawyer that any further communication would be considered harassment. Derek bought me a beer when I told him what happened. "Brother," he said, "you made the right call. That woman burned your house down and now she wants you to help her rebuild. Some people think forgiveness means letting them keep hurting you. My therapist, Dr. Rachel Kim, whom I'd been seeing monthly since the divorce, had a similar take. Nathan, you've made enormous progress in healing from your marriage's end. Taking Amanda back into your life, even as a caretaker, would undo years of work. You can have compassion for her situation without sacrificing your own well-being." But the guilt lingered. Late at night, I'd wonder if I was being cruel, if my refusal to help was just petty revenge for what she'd done to me, if a better man would rise above the past and offer assistance regardless of history. Then I'd remember the look on her face when she told me Bradley was her soulmate, the casual way she'd packed up our life together, the photos of her and Bradley looking deliriously happy at their wedding while I was still processing the destruction of everything I'd believed about my marriage. No, I wasn't being cruel. I was being smart. I was protecting myself from someone who'd proven they couldn't be trusted with my heart. 2 months after the accident, I ran into Amanda's mother, Patricia, at a grocery store in Queen Anne. She cornered me in the produce section, her face tight with barely controlled anger. "Nathan Harrison," she said, loud enough that other shoppers turned to look. "Do you know what you've done to my daughter?" I kept selecting apples, not engaging. "Mrs. Sheffield, nice to see you. Don't you dare act casual with me. Amanda is in a rehabilitation facility, struggling every day with her new reality, and you abandoned her. After everything you two shared, you just walked away." I put down the apples and looked at her directly. "Mrs. Sheffield, with respect, Amanda walked away from our marriage long before the accident. She made her choice. I'm just respecting that choice. She's disabled now, Nathan. The situation has changed. The situation hasn't changed my history with your daughter. I'm sorry she's going through this, but I'm not responsible for her care." Patricia's eyes filled with angry tears. "I thought you were a good man. I defended you when Amanda said she was leaving. I told her she was making a mistake, but maybe you deserved to lose her." "Maybe I did," I said calmly. "Either way, that chapter is closed. I wish Amanda well, but from a distance." I walked away, leaving Patricia standing in the produce section, probably calling her daughter to report on our encounter. That evening, Amanda texted me from a new number. "I'm sorry my mother confronted you. She's just scared for me. But Nathan, I want you to know something. The time with Bradley taught me what I really lost when I left you. He was exciting, but you were solid. He was passionate, but you were kind. I chose wrong, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life." I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without responding. 6 months after the accident, Derek showed me an article in the Seattle Times business section. Bradley Matthews' venture capital firm had collapsed shortly before his death, taking millions in investor money with it. Apparently, he'd been running a sophisticated fraud scheme, using new investments to pay returns to earlier investors, while siphoning money into offshore accounts. The investigation revealed Bradley had been facing federal charges that would have sent him to prison for 15 to 20 years. Multiple investors had filed lawsuits. The SEC had frozen his assets. He'd been driving to meet with his criminal defense attorney the night of the accident. "So Amanda's soulmate was a con artist," Derek said. "That's got to feel like cosmic justice." I read the article twice, processing this new information. Amanda had left me for a criminal. She'd thrown away our marriage for a man who was about to go to prison. If the accident hadn't happened, she would have been married to a convict, probably facing her own legal troubles as his wife. Part of me wanted to call her, to point out that the universe she'd claimed wanted her with Bradley had actually been setting her up for an even worse disaster. But what would be the point? She was already living in a hell of her own making. A year after the accident, I finally allowed myself to move on completely. I started dating seriously, met a woman named Claire who worked as a landscape architect. She was funny, honest, and most importantly, available. No ex-boyfriends lurking in the shadows, no great cosmic love stories pulling her away. We took things slowly, building trust day by day. Claire knew about Amanda, about the betrayal and the divorce, about the accident and my refusal to help. She didn't judge me for it. "You protected yourself," she said simply. "That's not cruel. That's survival." One evening, almost 18 months after that hospital visit, my doorbell rang unexpectedly. I opened it to find Amanda in a wheelchair on my porch, looking thin and tired and desperate. "How did you know where I lived?" I asked, not inviting her in. "I hired a private investigator," she admitted. "Nathan, please, just give me 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I stepped onto the porch and closed the door behind me. "What do you want, Amanda?" "I want to apologize. Really apologize, not just say words." She wheeled herself back slightly, giving me space. "I destroyed our marriage because I was chasing a fantasy. I hurt you in ways I can never take back. And then when I needed help, I tried to manipulate you into caring for me without ever acknowledging what I'd done to you. That was wrong." I leaned against the porch railing, studying her. "Okay. Apology heard. Nathan, I'm not asking for another chance. I know that door is closed forever. But I wanted you to know that I've spent the last year in therapy working through why I made such catastrophic choices. I'm trying to become someone better than the person who hurt you." "I'm glad you're getting help," I said honestly. "Everyone deserves a chance to grow." Amanda nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I also wanted you to know that you were right to refuse to help me. I had no right to expect anything from you. Your decision forced me to build my own support system, to reach out to people who actually cared about me, to stop looking for rescue and start saving myself." "How are you managing?" I asked, surprising myself with the question. "Better than I was. I moved back in with my parents. I'm doing physical therapy 5 days a week. I've regained some sensation in my legs. The doctors say I might be able to walk with assistance eventually." "That's good. I'm genuinely happy for you." "There's something else," she said quietly. "I wanted to tell you the truth about Bradley, not to excuse what I did, but because you deserve to know who you lost me to." "I already know. The fraud investigation made the news." "Not just that." Amanda took a breath. "Bradley contacted me deliberately. He found out through mutual friends that I was married to a successful architect. He researched you, learned about your firm's portfolio. He was planning to get me away from you so he could pitch you on a fake real estate development scheme. I was just his way into your bank account." The AITA revelation hit me like cold water. So the whole thing had been a con from the beginning. "I didn't know," Amanda said quickly. "I swear I didn't know. I thought he'd come back into my life because of fate or destiny or whatever stupid thing I told myself. But after the accident, when investigators were going through his files, they found notes about you, about how to approach you, what kind of investments might interest you. I was his mark, and you were the target. I processed this information silently. If Amanda hadn't left me when she did, I would have eventually met Bradley as her old friend. He would have pitched me some investment opportunity. I probably would have fallen for it because he was my wife's college boyfriend, and I was trying to be supportive. Amanda leaving me had actually saved me from financial ruin. "Thank you for telling me," I finally said. "That couldn't have been easy to admit. I owe you the truth, even if it makes me look even worse than I already do." She wheeled herself to the edge of the porch ramp. "I'm going to go now. I just wanted you to know that you made the right choice walking away from me. In every possible way, you did the right thing." "Amanda," I called as she started down the ramp. She stopped and looked back. "I do forgive you. Not because you asked for it or because you deserve it, but because holding on to anger was killing me. Forgiveness is for my peace, not your absolution." She nodded, understanding the distinction. "Thank you, Nathan. Be happy. You deserve it." I watched her wheel herself to an accessible van where her mother waited in the driver's seat. Patricia gave me a small wave, neither friendly nor hostile, just acknowledgement. They drove away, and I stood on my porch for a long time, feeling something inside me finally release. Claire found me there 20 minutes later, having arrived for our dinner date. "You okay?" she asked, studying my face. "Yeah," I said, surprised to realize it was true. "I think I finally am." That evening over dinner, I told Claire everything. About Amanda's visit, about Bradley's con, about the strange relief of finally understanding that walking away had been the best decision I'd ever made. "Some people come into our lives to teach us what love is," Claire said, "and some people come into our lives to teach us what love isn't." Amanda was the second kind. She was right. Amanda had taught me that love without honesty is just fantasy, that passion without integrity is worthless, that the universe doesn't correct mistakes, people do, through hard choices and painful growth. 2 years after the accident, my life looked completely different from anything Amanda and I had built together. Claire and I got married in a small ceremony at Discovery Park. My firm completed an award-winning sustainable housing project. I adopted another rescue dog, naming him Murphy too, in honor of the original. I never heard from Amanda again. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned she'd made progress in her recovery, could walk short distances with leg braces and a cane. She'd started a blog about surviving trauma and rebuilding life after catastrophic loss. Good for her. Everyone deserves redemption, even if they can't have reconciliation. The lesson I learned from all of it was simple. People don't get to treat you terribly, and then demand you sacrifice yourself when their choices blow up in their faces. Compassion doesn't mean martyrdom. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And moving on doesn't mean you're heartless. It means you're wise enough to know the difference between helping someone and letting them drown you. Amanda made her choice when she walked out. I made mine when I refused to let her walk back in, and that choice saved my life. If you found value in this story, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had someone from your past try to return when their new life fell apart? How did you handle it? Your stories matter, and they might help someone else facing a similar situation. Until next time, remember that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival.